like to call to order the meeting of the Wilson School Board for Monday, August 20th, 2018. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Case. Mr. Ehrlich. Here. Mr. Hart. Here. Dr. Kennedy. Here. Mrs. Cocker. Here. Mr. Martin. Here. Mr. Nigrini. Here. Mr. Wall.
Here.
8 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Can we all rise for the pledge to the flag? Mr. Maravich.
Public participation, there's 2 opportunities for the public to address the board. The first is on agenda items, which is immediately before the agenda. The second is on non-agenda items, which is at the end of the meeting. Pursuant to board policy and the school code, it is a 3-minute opportunity. It is not question and answer, but it's an opportunity for you to provide information to the board on matters that are or may come before it.
Thank you. And looks like we have one person looking to speak on an agenda item, Tammy Keener. You can come on up to the microphone. I'm sorry? Yes, please get it over to Ms. Carroll.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I am Tammy Keener and a long-standing resident of Sinking Spring. Also a stakeholder in the decision-making process of the Wilson School Board. I propose that the board weigh the following future board members' qualifications very seriously against the following criteria. Some which may have been considered previously, while others possibly already in place and being implemented on the board as considered for candidates. Qualifications criteria for board members. 1, works diligently to promote school student safety with defense in-depth strategies. Number 2, fosters a school culture that assures that the students are always provided teacher and administration instruction guidance which is politically nonpartisan and which teaches respect for oneself and for others. Number 3, I ask that understands that taxpayers expect any future millage increases only be adopted if a true value-added rational is presented to the school district stakeholders. 4, promotes the importance of having its graduating students having attained a well-rounded education and who were encouraged to participate in sports and other activities to help them rise to their real potential. And 5, encourage self-evaluation of the board's overall effectiveness in helping students develop skills and a mature character. Number 6, develops appropriate processes for the board to examine on an ongoing basis of methods being adopted by teachers and administrators to assure that freedom of speech is not restricted or discouraged. And number 7, assures that the board effectively focuses on the students' development of those traits that lead them to a lifelong desire to become independent individuals who possess critical thinking skills for future leadership positions. I thank the Wilson School Board for taking its valuable time and allow the citizens' input. And my address is noted with your secretary.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time. Okay, another agenda item, Mr. Archer, you want to come on up?
Mr. Archer, you may have walked in late. It's 3 minutes. I'll try to give you a warning at 1 minute.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm a little late here. I managed to tour the facility to find where you were holding this meeting. Thank you, Wilson School Board, for this opportunity to speak to you on behalf of former Wilson School Board member Jason Hott. My name is John Archer. I reside in Wyomissing, Spring Township, and I'm a taxpayer who just paid his property tax. I'm a professional engineer and retired engineering and construction manager in the electrical power industry. So why do I support Jason Hott for this distinguished and important position? First of all, I appreciate both daunting and rewarding at times requirements of this important job. All of you are to be commended for taking your personal time to advance this community and ensure that its youth are properly served. Second, the job of representing the community well reserves talented and dedicated individuals who are capable of doing the due diligence that is needed on all issues presented to the board. Jason Hott, with his background as a lawyer and financial officer, with his previous experience on this board, possesses these qualifications and many more. Third, I support those candidates who I believe will represent me in related matters to provide a well-rounded learning environment for our Wilson students. Jason, for every reason, has the local resident to be highly motivated to assure that the Wilson products are able to recognize they always benefited from the support of their school board and certainly from the contribution that Jason Hott has made and will make. So if the board wants to appoint a highly qualified and motivated individual that strives to perform the position's duties in an effective and professional manner, then Jason Hott is definitely that dedicated individual for this appointment. I would also like to point out that my neighbor, a former teacher and school board member of the school board, Brenda Mack, is unable to attend this meeting. Had she not had a previous engagement, Brenda would have also made an endorsement presentation to you at this time in support of Jason Hott, who she has known for many years. Thank you all for your indulgence in this appointment process. And they have my address.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we have a special presentation that we always look forward to every year. So, Mr. Trickett, if you want to come up and introduce us to the students that we have here.
I'm proud to be with each of you tonight to recommend 4 additional students as graduates of the Wilson High School class of 2018. Adam, Adrian, Christian, and Xavier have dedicated themselves this summer and have persevered to earn a Wilson High School diploma. I can attest that they have successfully completed all graduation requirements set forth by the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Wilson School District Board of Directors. Our staff and community congratulate you and wish you happiness and success in the next stage of your lives. Dr. Fadley, I have the distinct honor of presenting Adam Frederick Leaker, Adrian Devonte Clinton, and Christian Jose Ramos as members of the Wilson High School class of 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Trickett. By the power vested in me by the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Adam, Adrian, Xavier, and Christian, I now pronounce you as successful graduates of the Wilson class of 2018. Congratulations.
Come on around and great job.
Congratulations.
They're off to senior week. Okay, at this time, we will begin the nomination process to fulfill the open school board director seat. So I'm going to open it up to the board to take nominations at this time. Mr. Ehrlich.
Mr. Wolf, I would like to nominate Mr. Jason Hopp to fulfill the unexpired term of Ms. Rebecca Ellis, who has resigned her position.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Dr. Kennedy first, I think.
We are lucky to have many qualified, passionate candidates to choose from. My 5 senior board members believe that the board vacancy should be filled by the applicant who finished next in line in the election. While in just about any other board year this might make sense, considering the contentiousness of the past election, I do not think this is what the majority of voters in the Wilson School community want. I do believe Mr. Hopp is a good man, a great father, and a bulldog through and through. However, it is my position that we should choose a fresh, new candidate, not anyone who has run before, especially considering Mr. Hopp's reluctance to admit that the board made a mistake in the hiring of the previous superintendent. And when considering the candidates who have run before, this would unfortunately include Jim Spees, who I absolutely hope runs again, because I think as someone in higher education, he would be an asset to the district. And I think we speak totally the same educational language, and I really look forward to one day serving on the board with him. In my mind, as we as a board are tasked with a replacement for Becky Ellis. With this replacement, we need to give the voters what they voted for. Becky Ellis checked many different boxes: woman, bilingual, new to the district, home in the Whitfield attendance area, and a fighter for social justice. I'm looking for a qualified candidate who checks those boxes and more. While it would be easy for me just to nominate my highly qualified friend of over 20 years, Mike Stout, I'm not sure he checks all of those boxes. I dearly hope he runs, because having gone to Kutztown with him, having taught his Evan twice, and having taught with him in the district, as well as being friends outside of the school, I know he'd make an outstanding board member and make a positive impact on the district. I was also very impressed by Ms. Stanislaw and her passion for educational excellence, especially for those students who may not be headed to the college track. Having a husband who owns a tool and die shop, I can tell you that finding skilled machine operators is very difficult. I also recently found out that Ms. Stanislaw's daughter was my son's cooking teacher at West, and she must have raised an excellent cooking teacher, because my son is now an absolute expert on cross-contamination in the kitchen, a fact that he reminds me every night when I'm cooking. With that said, the candidate that I feel is most qualified and most accurately fills the empty spot, plus lots more, is Guadalupe Casper. This may surprise some people, including Ms. Casper, since I have never actually met her before, even though both of our children attend the same school. Ms. Casper is newer to the district. She's a woman. She's bilingual. She's a staunch advocate for social justice. Her only flaw is that she's from the Green Valley attendance area, and she's not actually from Green Valley. And where she does live used to be in Whitfield, so it's not that bad. But what's more impressive are the other pluses that she brings. She's in the field of education, so she won't have as big of a learning curve as someone who is outside of the world of education would, becoming part of the board. She is Latina and would give representation to our changing demographics of our district. So many candidates, both when filling this vacancy and during the general election, spoke about the need to acknowledge and adapt to the Wilson changing demographics. And here is our opportunity as a board to do that from the top down. Choosing Ms. Casper as a replacement board member gives us the opportunity to add diversity to a district where there is none in administration and very little in faculty. Choosing the white male status quo would give lip service to all the talk of the need to address diversity. Real representation of the changing population in this district would send a message to the people of color in this community that we are serious about inclusivity. Because of her qualifications and the unique opportunity to add diversity of the school board, I nominate Guadalupe Casper to fill the board vacancy.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Okay. Is there any open discussion on Mr. Martin?
What I'm going to do is process, I went through all the candidates, and I circled 3 that I thought could be a viable candidate. In thinking through Becky's philosophy, she had a very good business background, and that to me was something that I think we need more of on a school board to balance the equation with education, because you don't want to be all one way or the other, so you need a middle ground. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is I don't believe certain candidates can meet that goal, in my opinion. So if you look at what's available, when I say available, my 3 candidates, and since 2 of the 3 were not nominated, I just think that there's a point in time where you have to make a decision, because if we don't, I think the council mentioned that if we don't come up with a decision, the court will appoint somebody. And I don't think that would be in our best interest. I don't know what the court does, so I've never been through that process, but I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Nigrini?
First of all, I want to apologize to the candidates that interviewed Monday evening. I was not present for that portion of the interview process. Your answers were provided to me prior to that evening. I had a pre-planned vacation, and in the best interest of moving this process forward, I was unable to attend. But I can assure you, I've looked over all of your answers. Certainly to what Dr. Kennedy had to say, there's 2 sides to the coin relative to changes that took place as a result of the election. Certainly Mr. Hopp did not receive enough votes to remain seated on this board, but what was clear is that he was 272 votes behind Ms. Ellis and ahead of every other candidate that ran during that particular campaign. A board member who had served 16 years, I think it was quite clear as far as Mr. Hopp's talents that he brought to this particular board, and certainly where he stood in terms of his votes in the past. That is no secret how he viewed his role as a board member. He was certainly an outspoken board member, certainly in the last several years that I had the privilege of serving with him. To the point about decisions that have been made by the past board, none of us are free from making mistakes from time to time. When a doctor makes a mistake, they don't all of a sudden never get to practice medicine. When an investor with our money makes a mistake and they lose money, they continue to have the ability to invest. You learn from those mistakes as you move forward. I don't know that it was ever a position of Mr. Hopp or anyone else that has indicated that we haven't made mistakes in the past. But whether or not we have the best interests of the district at heart when we make these particular decisions is what is most important. I know some of the individuals sitting in this room have run before. I know some of the individuals in this room have sought appointment in the past, and I respect each and every one of you for your efforts and dedication to want to serve on this particular board. As Mr. Archer indicated, it is certainly a thankless job, one where people will tell you when you make the wrong decisions, but will never tell you when you make the right ones. For an individual to, despite the fact that was not reelected to serve on this board to indicate that he still wants to be part of this district and this board, I think speaks to his character, and it speaks to his level of commitment to this district. For those reasons, and certainly in light of the fact that some of the individuals that have put their name in for consideration did not run within 12 months of seeking this appointment, also plays a role as, for me, a decision as to who to select to replace Ms. Ellis. That they put themselves out there to be examined by our voters within the Wilson community and to get some feedback from them. And I think that plays a large part in my decision-making process. Just lastly, I'd like to say that it's wonderful that we have this many people that are willing to come out and want to serve this board, this district, and this community, because oftentimes it's very hard to find people that are willing to put in the time and the aggravation that sometimes goes along with it. So that's all I had to share prior to any vote.
Great, thank you. Mr. Case.
Could I actually nominate someone still open?
Okay, yes.
It's just based on what Mr. Martin mentioned, I'm hopeful, because I just thought I would have enough votes to have this person. But can you hear me now? Sure. Based on what Mr. Martin said, I'm hoping that one of his top three candidates is the candidate that I'd like to have, which is Mrs. Stanislaw. Based on her solid business background, her supplier negotiations, very even-keeled when spoken, spoke very well, very supportive of BCTC efforts, and I'd also like to see a more diverse board with Becky Ellis moving out of the district. We're losing another woman on our board. I would like to see, and not because she's a woman, because she's a fantastic business person and very well spoken and business-minded. I would like to nominate Mrs. Stanislaw. My second choice was Ms. Gasper, but after what Amy just mentioned, I'm on the fence for both of them. I think they would both be great candidates, but I'm hoping Mrs. Stanislaw is one of Mr. Martin's choices. So I want to make sure she's out there for a vote.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
So, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I first of all apologize for not being able to make it to the meeting in person. I'm on a family vacation, kind of last-ditch effort to hold on to the summer. But I thought it was important to kind of make a comment that we as a board were elected to represent the voters' wants, and it's clear based on the removal of all four incumbents in the last election that the voters want to change. So tonight we're voting to replace Ms. Ellis, and out of the 6 applicants, it's my belief that the individual that would best take her place philosophically is Ms. Casper. So I know we haven't voted yet, but I just wanted to comment as well, even though I'm not there in person.
Thank you. All right, nominations are now closed. Any further discussion before we take roll call? Okay, again, during roll call, you will name the one person you want to vote for this round. At the conclusion of that, we will take the lowest vote getter and remove them and do another round of roll call to decide who will take this position. Any questions? Ms. Carroll, roll call, please. Yes.
Mr. Erlin? Mr. Hart?
Mr. Hopp?
Dr. Kennedy?
Ms. Casper.
Mrs. Cocker?
Guadalupe Casper.
Mr. Martin,
Mr. Hop.
Mr. Nigrini,
Mr. Hop.
Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Hop.
There's five.
Do we now need to,
John, do you need to announce the result for the public record?
The result was five.
5 for Mr. Hop. 2 for Ms. Casper, and 1 for Mrs. Casper.
Under the school code, if we have five with an 8-member board, we have sufficient vote, and that's the elected.
are we doing this, this last one where we plug his name in?
No, we're fine with this. No, that was actually this vote, so, when we did the roll call, we got one.
Okay. So we're okay to move on to 3. Okay. Okay, we're going to move along to approval of minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes for the school board meeting from August 13th, 2018, and for the August 6th, 2018. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second. Mr. Martin, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Mr. Martin.
Well, my computer's down, so I'm going to have to read what's up there. Mr. President, I recommend acceptance of the Construction Fund, Capital Reserve Fund, Treasury Report, Capital Reserve, the General Fund Investments, General Fund Balance Sheet, and the General Fund Board Summary as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Case, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Yes. Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes. Thank you. Payment of bills, Mr. Martin.
I recommend approval by the board, payments in amount from the general fund from 2017, 2018, $99,739.20. From the general fund from 2018-19, $2,323,748.81. And the capital reserve fund from 17-18, $8,507.48.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Financial reports, Mr. Martin.
Mr. President, I submit for approval the following reports. The High School Student Activity Fund for 2018. Keep going, page down, please. Thank you. 2018 High School Student Activity Check Report, the West Board Financial Summary, the West Check Request, the Board Financial Summary, and the Check Request Report. Food Service Balance Sheet, the Food Service Disbursement Summary, the 2008-07 Food Service Revenue Expenses, Child Care Balance Sheet, Child Care Statement of Revenue Expense, and Child Care Disbursements.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, in the superintendent's report, I submit for board approval personnel and program recommendations as listed.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Or, excuse me, one nomination first, Mr. Hart. A second? Mr. Martin, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Conger.
Would you be able to have a bit of a discussion before the roll call?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to, before, voting on this, I wanted to point out that on the list of resignations, that 2 out of our 5 elementary school counselors are on the list of resignations. Mrs. Berg from Shadow Hills and Mr. Foster from Cornwall Terrace. And I think that Wilson is losing 2 incredible school counselors by their resigning. And it is with a heavy heart that I will vote yes, but I wish that situations were different for the 2 of them. And I hope that we are able to fill their shoes in their absence. So my vote is yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini. Yes. Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy. Yes. Mrs. Wolf.
Yes.
4-0 against.
Moving on to consent items. Looking for a motion to approve Dr. Kate Long to serve as the School Safety and Security Coordinator for the Wilson School District per Act 44 of 2018. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second. Mr. Case, thank you. That's a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to Human Resources. Request authorization for the superintendent to make employment commitments to qualified applicants for the purpose of filling vacancies that occur after the August 20th, 2018 board meeting, with action to be ratified by the Board of Education at the next official meeting. 10.2, request approval of the compensation analysis and market assessments study submitted by PSBA at a cost of $4,000 per attached. Request approval to pay a one-time stipend of $2,500 to Kelly Price Tax Specialist effective August 21st, 2018. And request approval to eliminate Environmental Services Manager position effective immediately. Do I have a motion for those? Mr. Hart, thank you. Second, Mr. Ehrlich. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini.
Yes.
Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy. Mrs. Conger.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
4-0 against.
Thank you. Moving along to Pupil Services. Looking for a motion to approve the enrollment of foreign exchange students as presented. Request approval to contract with New Story to provide education for one special education student at a cost of $380 per day for the 2018-2019 school year beginning August 23rd, 2018 until June 6th, 2019. Looking for a motion to request permission to waive tuition for the following students as per Board Policy 202, eligibility of non-residents, one Cornwall Terrace kindergarten student and one third grade student from August 27th, 2018 through August 31st, 2018. And requesting approval to contract with Opportunity School to provide education for 3 special education students at a cost of $175 per day for the 2018-2019 school year, beginning August 27th, 2018 until June 6th, 2019. Do I have a motion for those? Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Second, Mr. Ehrlich. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nigrini.
Yes.
Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy. Yes. Mrs. Conger.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
4-0 against.
Under Finance, looking for a motion to approve the IDEA B agreement with BCIU for 2018-2019 fiscal year as presented, and looking for a motion to approve the budget transfers dated June 30th, 2018 as presented. Do I have a motion for those? Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Mr. Nigrini, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Conger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Under Transportation, looking for a motion to approve the retirement through auction of one 72-passenger full-size school bus and one 28-passenger minibus as presented. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Case, thank you. Second, Mr. Nigrini. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Conger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Under Extracurricular, requesting approval for aquatics to use the Roy G. Snyder Natatorium on Sunday, December 30th, 2018, beginning at 8 a.m. for an American Red Cross lifeguard certification course. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Case, thank you. Second, Mr. Nigrini. And again, that is only being brought up because it's during a time we don't typically have facilities being used. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Conger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
Under Policies, looking for a motion to accept the final reading and adoption of the attached revised policies as presented, number 109, 121.1, 200, 202.1, 210, 210.1. Do I have a motion for those? Mr. Case, Mr. Ehrlich, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mrs. Conger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
8 for, 0 against.
So we need to just do a motion and a second to suspend the policy and adopt this.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're trying to get 9:15, which is the Lucy Club, to coordinate what's actually happening right now. We're asking for, the administration's asking for this to be passed today, so that we need a motion and a second on a suspension of the policy, because otherwise it would take 3 readings. So it just needs to be a voice vote, but you need a motion and a second on suspension of the policy to accept 9:15 on 1 reading. And then when that's done, then you can vote on 9:15.
So the first thing I'm looking for is a motion to suspend the policy.
Policy with respect to 3 readings.
Yeah, with respect to 3 readings. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Nigrini, second. Mr. Ehrlich. And that's a voice vote?
That can be a voice vote.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Now, moving along to 20.3, we're looking for a motion to accept the revised policy 915 regarding booster organizations as presented. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. Second, Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes, yeah, discussion.
I'd like to thank Mr. Kaufman for his work on this policy. I know this has been something that's been in the works for quite some time, and it's important that we hold our booster organizations accountable. They provide a service to our sports teams here, but we need to hold them accountable, and I think this accomplishes that task. So thank you, Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you. Mr. Nigrini.
It's also my understanding that Mr. Kaufman has reached out to most, if not all, of those booster organizations. There has been discussion about making some of these revisions, that this information has been passed on to those booster organizations for any particular feedback, positive or negative. And it's my understanding that there has been nothing from those organizations of any concerns or complaints about some of these revisions, if I'm correct. So,
Thank you. Anyone else? We have a first and second looking for a roll call.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Nigrini?
yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy? Yes. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
4-0 yes.
Thank you. Moving along to committee reports. BCTC, Mr. Case.
My last report was 2 weeks ago, which was, had a lot of content in it. So the next meeting is this Wednesday at BCTC East at 7 p.m.
Thank you. IU, Dr. Kennedy.
It was a 33-page agenda at the BCIU board meeting, 33. One of the things on the agenda was that we had the agreement that you saw before earlier in the meeting with the $987,000 that we had with Wilson, which is a really great thing that we can do that with the BCIU for our idea. The other really piece of big news that came out of that meeting was BCIU came out, got a $100,000 grant for an app that will be used throughout the entire county with every school district and every law enforcement agency, and it's part of an emergency preparedness plan. And they're rolling it out, I believe, with Kutztown School District to start, and they're testing it out. And I know that they tried the app out, and they tried it with local law enforcement, and they came out to the schools this summer to see how it worked, and it worked really well. So it's funded for 2 years, and then they're going to get 2 more years of additional funding, and it's going to be a really great, safe thing for our schools. So it's another step towards having safer schools, and I'm super impressed with what they have there. It's on the computer. But
Crisis Go. Crisis Go.
which is even better.
And who would use the app? Who has access to it?
All of the school districts, all of the administration in the school districts, and it's in conjunction with all law enforcement, not just local police, but people in the courthouse, everybody. And I believe there'll be a parental a component to it as well.
That's great. Yeah, curriculum, please.
Curriculum committee is meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Berks EIT, Mrs. Schlossman, do you have anything for that? Nothing? Okay. Under extracurricular, nothing to really report yet. We got a great start. Finally, the weather helped us out a little bit. A couple rainy days with preseason, but we're looking forward to all our extracurriculars kicking off in about a week. So we'll have an update next meeting. Facilities, Mr. Nigrini.
We had our last meeting on Thursday, August 16th. There was a pretty comprehensive article in the Reading Eagle relative to the potential high school auditorium renovation project. Crabtree, Rohrbach and Associates had met with a number of our staff and administration, first and foremost to try to determine where on the priority scale some of the changes, additions, or upgrades needed to be placed within that area. Then based upon the grading of that priority scale, Crabtree, Rohrbach and Associates came up with several different options for renovations and or new construction. I believe as was publicized in the Reading Eagle, the least expensive renovation-only project ranged between $1.32 million and $1.62 million, and the most expensive option with all of the alternates possibly placed in there, which would include a new administrative wing, a connecting corridor from the upper house to the lower house, and adding second floor classrooms would put that cost at $27.7 million. Again, we are in the very early stages of discussion on these options, keeping in mind, first and foremost, costs to the taxpayers, benefit to the students in our community, and lastly, taking into consideration where the district may be 5, 10, 15 years from now. It was suggested that Crabtree, Rohrbach and Associates conduct a district-wide facilities study that would provide us with district vision for those buildings and or potential buildings in the future, looking out 5 to 10 years. So again, as I indicated at that meeting, we welcome input, feedback from all of the stakeholders within the Wilson community. When people see numbers that are discussed, it is certainly significant. It could have significant impacts moving forward. So again, we want to make sure whatever decision is recommended by the facilities committee, it takes into consideration many different points of view relative to this potential project. So again, there will be other meetings as we move forward. We've put no immediate timeline on making this decision, but one of the other factors that go into the decision on this project would be how it may impact the day-to-day learning process of our students down in that wing, and whether or not this would have to be done in a phased project over the course of 1 or 2 summers, or whether or not this can be done in conjunction with the school year without disrupting the learning process. So as I have more information, I will certainly pass that on. That took up the majority of our meeting on the 16th.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Ehrlich. HR, Mr. Hart.
Congratulations to the new teachers that started today. Good luck to everyone who comes back. Administration, teachers, support staff on Wednesday, and to the students and the parents on Monday. I just want to wish everybody a great start and successful school year. I wish you all well, and thank you to everyone that did everything they could to make this year possible by getting it ready. So thank you.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Martin. Nothing to report. PR, Ms. Troutman.
Just a couple items. I do have a piece of Wilson good news. We want to congratulate Marjorie Romero, who she recently completed 8th grade at Wilson Southern, and she won the 2018 Energy Path Science Fair at DeSales University over the summer. So we were able to share Marjorie's achievements through district social media. So it's cool to see our students are still achieving during the summer months, which is awesome. Under PR, obviously, with the first day of school coming quickly, we've got a lot of communications that'll be going out. So Dr. Fadley is going to be sending a district-wide letter through email this Friday, and we'll also be doing a call home welcome back message through our Skylert system that'll go out on Sunday evening. And we're going to be participating in some back-to-school media stories. There was a What's New with Schools article that appeared in the Reading Eagle this morning that we were a participant in. And Dr. Fadley is going to be continuing his tradition of riding the bus again this year on the first day of school. And the Reading Eagle is going to be covering that story as well. So we'll keep our eyes open for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Case, anything from the Ed Foundation?
I just want to repeat a couple of important items coming up. The WEF, Wilson Education Foundation, will play a part in the Gridiron Classic event on Friday, October 5th by having an auction to raise funds. The auction will be Wilson-related items and experiences. We'll be using the app BidPal to facilitate, courtesy of the Fight and Fills. The auction will go live for bidding September 1st. Anyone with the app can download the app and participate, and bidding will close October 5th at 8:30 p.m. during the football game. There'll be instructions, and this is going to be promoted with Meet the Teachers Night and through social media through the school district. The Fall Bash fundraiser has officially been announced. It will be held on Saturday, November 17th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. at the Berkshire Country Club. So save those dates, or that date. It will be a casino night theme with food, live music, and other activities. The Legacy Award will be presented to Roy Schneider at the event. He has been contacted and has accepted the award, so please save the date. The WEF information and the Bash save the date will be included in the 2018 football program. And now that students have received, the students have also received the scholarship checks that have gone out for this year for the students that have won scholarships in the past. The next WEF Executive Board meeting date will be September 7th, 2018, and the first WEF full board meeting for the school district will be Friday, September 28th.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mrs. Cocker, anything under technology?
Our next meeting will be Monday, October 1st at 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Maravich, anything else? Okay. We do have a few people that would like to speak on non-agenda items. Matthew Planner is up first.
Good evening. I think Jeff Beidinger is on the list to speak, and if I could defer a comment as follow-up to what he has to say, I'd appreciate going after Jeff. Okay?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Beidinger. My wife and I have been residents of Green Valley for 14 years now, and I've been a resident of Sinking Spring for pretty much my entire life. Over the years, we watched Green Valley as a development grow. We also got to see the construction of Green Valley Elementary and Wilson West High School, or middle school, excuse me. When our first child was born 7 years ago, the schools had already been completed, and we planned on sending him there as he grew up, and we made the decision to stay in the area to do that. From his days in preschool up until the weeks before he started kindergarten last year, we had always assumed that he would be riding the bus that stops just 4 doors down from my house on Pacific Avenue. Then we found out that a boundary was drawn just 200 feet from my house, and it was deemed as the cutoff point, thus no busing for my children. The completion of the Connecticut Avenue Bridge in Green Valley apparently puts the children of many of the Green Valley families within walking distance of the school. But this walking distance requires that the kids almost walk the entire perimeter of Green Valley Estates just to get to a school that is less than a 5-minute bus ride away. This despite the fact that many of these families have immediate neighbors who are still allowed to ride these buses that continue to stop in our neighborhoods. We're not the only families who are facing a sort of a catch-22. Before and after school programs provided by Wilson are now overfill and even have late wait lists. Local programs are also full, hard to find, or even expensive, and many times they're being used because many of the families that are using them are unable to provide the transportation for various reasons that the school is able to provide but seemingly unwilling to provide. And it's not being used as a substitution for caregiving, but because of the timing of their days, it's more convenient than any other option. It has an impact on the entire community, not just those of us with families or kids who attend the schools. The biggest selling point for these homes in Green Valley is being within the Wilson School District, but no one is really going to knowingly buy these homes once it's known that the transportation will not be available to the elementary and middle schools. One of our neighbors is actually trying to sell her house right now for her retirement. She's facing this very problem. Another neighbor of mine who moved in just 2 months ago has children, and she assumed that because the bus stop stops 2 doors down from her house that they would be allowed to ride the bus. And she just found out that they're not going to be allowed to ride the bus either. Buses went through and transported these children to Green Valley Elementary and Wilson West for several years, and now that more homes are being built in Green Valley and they're generating more tax revenue, the transportation's now been removed. And as for Connecticut Avenue, there really is no one responsible for the maintenance of this walkway, and snow and ice are not removed in bad weather. The schools were built and designed with bus transportation in mind. Parking lots and the grounds themselves are simply not designed to accommodate the volume of kids that lost this transportation. We're aware of the new plan that was just sent out and devised by the school for this year, but we don't see much of a benefit to it. It's just going to cause more confusion, more traffic, and more congestion in the parking lots that were poorly designed and ill-equipped for the number of cars that carry kids not allowed to ride these buses. Kids have and will continue to take shortcuts along Green Valley Road and even on Faust Road, or through the overgrowth or off-beaten paths that run through the developments, and it's only a matter of time before a child is either hit by a car, hurt along the way, or God forbid abducted by a predator, at which time there is surely going to be a lawsuit and the bad PR will exponentially be more expensive than any transportation costs to bus these extra kids. We think that the original bus stops and routes should be reinstated throughout Green Valley, and if that is not possible, surely allowing just a few more kids on these half-empty buses that are stopping in our neighborhood that they see every day is not only possible but reasonable. We realize that the state minimum requirements is to provide transportation for children living beyond 1.5 miles from an elementary school and beyond 2 miles from the middle school, and that the district is in compliance. But if there's one life lesson I've been trying very hard to teach both of my sons, is that you should do more than just the minimum required. And we're hoping, at the very least, because we know it's not going to get settled tonight, maybe not even anytime soon. Living in Sinking Spring my entire life, it's been a 30-year-long battle, people wanting to get a sidewalk built along Green Valley Road, and it's not getting done anytime soon. So we're hoping that this is an issue, at the very least, that is not going to be continually tabled by the board until there's many more of us here with this same issue next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Planner, you want to come back up?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of discussion on some pages, private pages of social media. I read a lot of things that Jeff was concerned about, he spoke about here. And all the concerns that he spoke about other residents in the Green Valley area are right up there on the page. I think Jeff did a wonderful job of presenting all the issues as far as the transportation issues. The winter, inclement weather, impassable walking routes, big issue. Foot traffic to school and distance, which he addressed, is another big issue. The cutoffs, the distances, the radiuses, whatever is used for the cutoffs for the bus stops, another big issue. But above all, the concerns that I had that Jeff also addressed was the children's safety in their age bracket of developing situational awareness. Some of them have no situational awareness at the ages that they are walking to school. And I think that's a huge concern where denial of the transportation services to these kids are made available. I like to respectfully request, as well as what Jeff pled about earlier, that the board reestablish the transportation routes that were originally set in the Green Valley and adjacent areas. And with that, I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gina Katranek.
Thank you. They pretty much said everything that I was going to say. It is a big concern. I have a son at West. It's his last year, so I'm speaking more on behalf of my neighbors and my friends with the younger kids. The routes that we were given after they took our buses away are not acceptable. They're having these children walk along Connecticut, which is not cleared with snow during the winter. There's a long stretch there that nobody clears. So I don't want my child walking in the street to get to school. I don't want him walking that far to school anyways. It's about a 2-mile walk. The way that it's measured is they call west where Green Valley starts. It's the whole property. That's how they measured it. And I don't think it's fair. So it is a big safety issue. Right after the buses were taken away, my son, I had him call me at work every time he got home from school just to make sure he was safe. One day he actually called me and said, "Mom, I'm going to be a little late because I'm going to help this man put equipment in his van." So I immediately, freaked out and called the police department and told him to run, and it turned out to be okay, but still I shouldn't have to worry about my child when there should be a bus dropping them off within 5 houses from us. Not even 5 houses. I think the bus stop is maybe 3 houses from us. So that's all I have to say. I do wish you guys will reconsider reinstating those buses for Green Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. This issue is something the board has started just to discuss. For the record, I'm on that same side of the red line as all of you are, and lived through the times when we were bused, and then once Kinetic was open. We just ask you for some patience while we put some information together. Our plan is to hold a town hall. Hopefully understand this is a much bigger item than just the issue than just our 3 or 4 streets that it's involved. We have to look at all 5 of our elementary schools. If we were to move the line in one elementary school, we're doing it across the board, and then obviously cost and everything else that goes with that. So we've agreed to look into it with no promises. At some point in the future, we'll advertise a town hall where you'll be able to come and see the options that we pulled up, what the financial ramifications are, any solutions that we might have at that point. So thank you for coming tonight, and we hope to be in touch in the next couple weeks. Any other business? All right. If no other business, looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hart, thank you. Mr. Ehrlich, thank you. We're adjourned.